Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm playing a little game I came up with that I'm calling Read, Write, or Burn. Think of it like Fuck, Marry, Kill, but book tropes and stuff. I'm sure other people have done a similar thing before, but I got this idea after watching one of Becca's videos months ago now. She was talking about book tropes that she hated reading but loved writing. I'll link it down below because it was a fun video, but it kind of got me thinking and I decided to turn it into a game. It's pretty straightforward. I have a bunch of different prompts and stuff in here. I'm going to pick 3 of them and decide which one I'd rather read, which one I'd rather write, and which one I'll just have to burn. And the rules I'm playing by are that this is mandatory and exclusive. So if I pick read, I have to consistently read it and I'm not allowed to ever write it. If I pick write, I have to incorporate it frequently into my writing and I'm never allowed to read anyone else who does it. And burn it is just get rid of it, never interact with it ever again. I have some tropes I love, some tropes I hate, I have some tropes that I don't have much experience with, and I have a few wild cards that might not be tropes at all. Also, feel free to play along in the comments if you want, and if you make videos and want to do this yourself, definitely tag me because I think it'd be really fun to watch. Alright, my first one, Villain Monologue, a classic. Oh, I picked 2, so I guess we'll do both of these. The Lone Survivor trope. And, open please, coming of age story. Okay, I feel like this is actually a really easy one to start with for me. Lone Survivor, I don't think has even been any part of any story idea I've ever had. So I think I'm going to read Lone Survivor because that could mean a variety of things. It could mean that there was 3 people trapped in this place and only one escaped. It could be like a mass casualty apocalypse kind of story. It could be some sort of incident. Maybe they're the last surviving member of their family or some sort of group. I feel like there's enough variety there that I wouldn't get sick of reading it. And it's not something I typically write, so I'd be fine never writing a story like that. Villain Monologue is fun. I think it's fun to write. I'd be a little bit sad never reading a cheesy villain monologue again, but self-indulgently, I wouldn't mind having to include that in future writing projects. And coming-of-age stories, by burn it, it doesn't mean that it ceases to exist, it just means that I never interact with it. Because coming-of-age stories are obviously important to a lot of people, especially when I was younger. I read a lot of them as I was coming of age. But it's not something I typically gravitate towards. I don't read a lot of YA, which is where a lot of these stories are. I would be pretty okay not interacting with them again. So I'm going to read Lone Survivor stories, write villain monologues, and burn coming-of-age stories. Okay, we're off to a good start. Don't jinx it. Ooh, time travel consequences or butterfly effect. I love this trope. Next is grizzled old mentor. Okay. And secret rebellions. I like time travel stories. I love anything involving the butterfly effect. Would I rather read it or write it? It's not something I typically write because I feel like it's a little bit daunting, a little bit intimidating. I think that I would be okay never writing anything with time travel or butterfly effect if it meant that I could read it consistently, because it is a trope that I love to read. So as of right now, I kind of want to lean towards reading that. But would I rather write grizzled old mentors or secret rebellions? I love a good secret rebellion story. Like usually the main character stumbles into something, meets somebody that turns out to be part of this wider thing. I like that setup. It's not something I write a lot though. I feel like the rebellion could be either the heroes or the villains. Like there's a little bit you can do with it. But I would get sick of writing that all the time. That has to be kind of a big part of the story. Grizzled old mentor, I could fit that into any story I wrote. And I feel like that would be a fun thing to just include, especially when they're like grumpy and they're just fed up with a lot of the things. I think is really fun. So I think I will read Time Travel Consequences and Butterfly Effect, write Grizzled Old Mentors, and I'll have to burn Secret Rebellions. Next, Cabin, Etc. in the Woods. The Lost Heir. No. Wild card. Third person point of view. So if you don't know, I always write in third person past tense. I don't like writing in first person at all. It feels really unnatural and uncomfortable to me. I don't like it. I also prefer to read in third person, but I don't hate reading in first person. I just prefer third person. So easy pick, I have to pick third person point of view for writing. So between reading and burning, Cabin in the Woods or Lost Heir. Ooh, that's tough. Cabin in the Woods is just such a classic, like mystery, thriller, horror. There's so much you can do with that. I also love the woods. I love books set in the woods. But Lost Heir, it could be that the main character is a long lost heir. It could mean that the side character is missing royalty. Maybe you're on a quest to find the lost heir. Maybe the heir gets lost throughout the novel. Like, there's a lot of fun things you can do with that. Fun fact, the first book I ever wrote, Omphir's Heir, is about a long lost heir. So a little bit of sentimental value with this one. But that being said, to never read anything about a mysterious cabin or house or whatever in the woods, I feel like that eliminates so many other things. I think I'm going to have to burn... That's a wild sentence. I think I'm going to have to burn the Lost Heir. And I'm going to read Cabin, Etc. in the Woods. Because even though it would get repetitive, I feel like there's enough variety with it. You know, it could be a horror, it could be a mystery, it could be a thriller. All three are kind of similar feelings, but they could have very different executions. So I think that's what I'll pick. And like I said, third person point of view is definitely what I'm writing. Next up, a loved one, ally, etc. is missing or taken. Returning to their hometown, classic. And dual timelines. This one's kind of hard. For the loved one or ally that's missing or taken, I love a good rescue mission. Returning to their hometown, I feel like a lot of times this is either romance or mystery. They've gone off, now they're successful in their field and they have to return to their small little hometown for whatever reason. And dual timelines, I just love. I love jumping between past and present, or present and future, or past and future even. I love just the way that they, you know, interconnect and seeing how they end up tying together. I would say that all three of these I like reading, and I don't love writing any of them. For writing, I think that's the hardest one right now. I think I would pick dual timelines. It's something that I feel like I'm a little bit intimidated to write. Like, it takes a lot of planning. You have to basically plot out twice as much because you're doing two separate things. There's a lot more to juggle. You have to make them balanced and even and interconnected and all that stuff. I strongly prefer reading it. But I don't think I'd really want to write either of these consistently, so I guess I'm writing dual timelines. Returning to the hometown, I feel like it's such a common mystery setup. I feel like burning it would just eliminate so many good mysteries or thrillers. But like I said, I love a good rescue mission, like kidnapping stories and overcoming all of that. I love when that's the reveal of someone disappears and everything is just thrown out of whack. But I think between the two, I'll burn loved one or ally is missing or taken and read returning to the hometown. I'm sure I would get really sick of that trope pretty quickly, but I think I would get more sick of people's loved ones always getting taken. I think that would start to lose the shock factor of it. These are getting harder. Next we have A dark family secret. A curse or cursed object. And unreliable narrator. Ooh, I like all three of these a lot. I love an unreliable narrator. I love when the book lies to me. I love being surprised. I love all of that stuff. Curse or cursed object I think is fun. I like just, you know, a sense of doom presiding over everything and wondering how you're going to get out of this and just having this foreboding thing going on. Especially if it's a curse and it's not super specific. Like maybe it's a bit of a vague curse and you're kind of wondering when it's going to come to fruition. I think that's really fun. A cursed object is always spooky. And dark family secret, I love some sort of like skeleton in the closet, something dark and mysterious in the backstory, whether the protagonist knows it or not. I think either way is really fun. Ooh, this is going to be hard to pick. My first instinct is that I'd be really sad if I could never read another unreliable narrator. But is it more fun to write it? A curse or a cursed object would be really fun to write because there's a decent amount you can do with it, but there's a lot of stories where that wouldn't really fit. And dark family secret. I was thinking initially that not all of my stories involve like a whole family, but it doesn't necessarily say that you have to have the family be a key point of the novel. Like it could be like something secret from like your ancestors. It could be something that just one character knows and reveals. So there is some room to play with either of those. Oh, this is so hard. I think I'm going to write unreliable narrator because when it comes to writing, I just love lying too much. I'm going to read... I'm not happy with this choice. I think I'm going to read Dark Family Secret because I feel like it would be fun to always guess what the secret is. I love a good twist. I love a good reveal. I think I'm more likely to get tired of a curse or cursed object trope. But I'm so sad about never reading it again. No, I'm locking in my answers. Read Dark Family Secret, write unreliable narrator, burn curse or cursed object. Final answer. Next up. Oh, I got two. Okay. Memory loss, one of my all-time favorite tropes. Protagonists over the age of 30. Oh, that one fell on Comet's head. I guess I'll pick this one. No. Oh, no. High fantasy. I put this one in here knowing that I would hate it. Because either way, it means I can never read high fantasy again or I can never write high fantasy again. And both of those options suck. I've done this to myself, but I'm still mad. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Memory loss is one of my all-time favorite tropes. When a character just appears somewhere, they have no idea what happened, they have no idea the events leading up to it, and they're trying to figure out everything that's recently happened. I love that stuff. I love when there's like missing chunks of memory. I love when someone is slowly losing their memory, questioning reality. I love that direction with it. I love when there's like a side character maybe, or someone that they're trying to help who has some memory loss. Anytime there's a questionable memory, gaps in memory, any of that, I always love it. High fantasy, obviously, I love it. I love to read it. I love to write it. It's my favorite. Protagonist over the age of 30, I thought would be a fun wild card that I'm now regretting because I feel like so often characters are either YA or they're in their 20s, they're just a little bit younger, and I understand why. You know, there's a lot of things as people are still growing up, coming into adulthood, so many things they're learning, so many easy mistakes to make, which is obviously important in a novel for your characters to be making mistakes. Characters over the age of 30, they know a little bit more, they have a little bit more experience under their belt, and they've also just stopped giving a shit about certain things. They're kind of just over some of it, and I feel like that's just so fun to read and to write. I don't want to burn any of these. That's my problem. I don't want to burn any of these. I don't want to burn Memory Loss. I would say it's probably my top 3 of all-time favorite tropes. I feel like every single time, assuming it's done well and not just a badly written book, I enjoy it. High fantasy is my favorite genre, but I think that process of elimination, I'm gonna have to burn protagonist over the age of 30, and I'll only be able to read or write protagonists in their 20s or younger. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to. Memory Loss, I think I prefer reading it to writing it. I think that it's a bit challenging to write because you have to keep in mind not only what's happening, but what the character knows, how the reader is going to find out the information despite the character not knowing it, how they're going to figure it out, how the reader's going to figure it out. Like, there's a lot of elements there that make it challenging to write, and I think that it's more fun to read. And that means that I will never be able to read high fantasy ever again, but I did specify high fantasy, so I could read other types of fantasy that just would not fit into the high fantasy category. And I don't mind writing high fantasy forever, like that would totally be fine. Oh, this one was hard, but I think this one I'm gonna have to do. Read the Memory Loss trope, write high fantasy, and burn protagonists over the age of 30. Oh, this one was awful. Give me an easier one. Let's see. Long lost family member returns. Oh, 2 again. Love triangles. And amateur sleuths. This one is a challenge for the opposite reason. Long lost family member returns, that's a classic. You know, could be somebody who is missing, a parent that left, a family member that maybe you thought was dead. Yes? The long lost family member returns I really like in mysteries and thrillers. I really like wondering, you know, why they left. What have they been up to since they left? Why are they back? There's a lot you can do with it. And it can also either be a good thing or a bad thing. It could be somebody that you didn't necessarily want to return. It could be somebody that they missed. Hi, Comet. Speaking of returns, Comet's back. Here she is. Oh, her foot's itchy. But the other 2, love triangle, I'm not really into romance. This is one of the more annoying of the common romance tropes. The problem is that I usually don't care a lot about the romance in general, so that which one will they pick? I don't care which one. Pick neither and let's move on with the adventure, you know? Because I feel like no matter what, between the 2 love interests they have to choose between, it's gonna suck either way, because either they're both good and you're gonna end up being disappointed when one of them doesn't get chosen, they're both awful and you're not gonna want one of them to get chosen, or there's a very obvious this one is the better option and this one is the worst option, and so you don't have that, like, right tension. Definitely a trope that really annoys me and I don't enjoy. But amateur sleuth is one of my personal pet peeves. I hate reading detective characters. There's just something about them that is so annoying to me, especially an amateur detective. I feel like the only time that I've really enjoyed it was the Truly Devious series. I thought it was at least done okay. But for the most part, it's this random person who's just being way too nosy and annoying about it, who suddenly has access to information that the actual investigators don't, or the actual investigators are incompetent, and that's also annoying. And somehow they can get this top secret information, or somehow they stumble upon a clue that no one else has stumbled upon. Like, I never like the way it's written, and it's something that I just don't care enough about to want to suspend my disbelief. But the problem is that I can only burn one of them. I think I'm going to burn Amateur Sleuth. Because a love triangle, you can read it in another context and kind of ignore the love triangle part. Like Hunger Games. Hunger Games is a dystopian novel with a love triangle that I personally ignore because I couldn't care less about either of the love interests. Amateur Sleuth is usually a key part of the character and the plot, and it's really hard to get away from it. So I'm going to burn Amateur Sleuth. Would I rather read love triangles or write love triangles? I could write a love triangle and they could just say no thank you and move on. The two love interests could decide to get together and leave the protagonist and go off and have their own story that I don't have to write. I could kill one off. Problem solved. I feel like that's cheating a little bit. But also, I don't want to have romance in all of my novels. Like, half my stories have no romantic vibes at all. But I think that because I hate the execution so often, I would rather write it than read it, because then at least I could write it in a way that isn't the ways that I hate it the most. You know what I mean? And I'd be okay never writing a long-lost family member returning. It would be a fun thing to write, but it would be easy to avoid. Okay, fine. So I will read long-lost family members returning. I will write love triangles, and I will burn amateur sleuths. Next. Picked 2, okay. Isolation trope. That one's fun. Open. Dream sequences. And prophecies. Ooh, okay. So isolation, I don't necessarily mean one character is completely isolated the whole time, but it could also be, you know, a group is trapped on this island. They're in space and they're shut off from the rest of the literal world. Stuff like that I would also consider isolation. I especially love it in horror. As somebody who naturally finds so much comfort in isolation, I really enjoy reading it in horror because it's such a different perspective. Comet, you're not isolated, don't worry. Oh, poor honey bear. I know, isolation is so scary for Comet, huh? It's okay, come here. Oh, I love you too. Thank you for the kisses. Thank you. Mwah. Sometimes just talking about isolation makes Comet scared. But I love it in horror because in horror, isolation doesn't necessarily mean that you're alone. It usually means that there's no one that you know of. But how come that cupboard is open now? What was that sound in the middle of the night? A person? Something paranormal? Maybe it's not real and it's the main character kind of losing it a little bit. I think any approach I really enjoy, and I really love trying to figure out which of the three it is. Dream sequences are just a classic. It's such a fun way to just get a little bit of weirdness in there, maybe reveal certain things, maybe give the character certain clues. And prophecy, I mean, I'm a fantasy nerd. I love a good prophecy, especially if it's vague or unclear or misinterpreted, and then you realize halfway through, oh shit, you actually meant this. Like, I really love that stuff. Between the three of these, isolation is something I never really write about. I usually like having a good cast of characters. I really like side characters and people coming and going. And my favorite aspect of it is reading other people's interpretations of it and how they react. So between prophecy and dream sequence, which one would I rather write? Or which one would I be less disappointed to never be able to write again? Because I feel like it's so easy to just include a dream sequence at some point in any novel. And a prophecy doesn't even necessarily have to be a fantasy. It could also be, you know, a fortune cookie or a fortune teller or just meeting a mysterious person who tells them some cryptic message that feels really important. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a huge high fantasy ancient prophecy that the whole world knows, but like something like that. I feel like that's easy to incorporate. So which one would I rather never write again? I think that I would rather never write a dream sequence, even though they're fun. A lot of times they are more self-indulgent. Maybe they're a little bit cliche and there's a better way that I can do it. A prophecy is just so much fun to play around with. So I think I'm going to read the isolation trope, write prophecies, and burn dream sequences, I guess. I purposely have an uneven number so that the last round, I don't know which one it's going to be. So let's see. Closed circle mystery. Okay. Learning a character wasn't real or was dead the whole time. And the last one. Oh, come on. the sidekick, friend, ally, etc. is actually the villain. Oh no. The burn for this one is very easy. I am unfortunately going to burn closed circle mysteries or closed door mysteries, whatever you want to call them. A contained mystery where you know that it's this place, this room, these people, and something is happening. As much as I love it, these are two of my favorite tropes of all time. The trope of a character not being real or secretly being dead the whole time is my all-time favorite trope, and I never talk about it because I don't want recommendations, because the twist and the reveal itself is my favorite part of the trope. But even though it is my favorite trope to read, by picking it for reading, I haven't really decided in this magical game that I've made up if it's something that I just continually stumble across and don't necessarily know all the time, or if I have to seek out books that have this. Like, how aware and intentional am I in this magical scenario? I feel like if I was reading it all the time, it wouldn't be a shock anymore, and it would ruin my favorite thing about the trope. But that makes me so sad because it's my all-time favorite thing to read. And then the sidekick, friend, ally, etc. actually being the villain is so much fun. And again, it's the twist that is so much fun. It's the reveal of this person who you've trusted, this person who you've built this connection with, suddenly betraying the main character. And also it feels like it's a betrayal to the reader too, if it's a character that you care about. I just love that moment. It's so much fun. Oh, this is so hard. Can I just pick both for both? Why did I include these? I'm the one that decided these prompts. I'm the one who put them in here. I'm the one who forced myself to make this decision. If we're going off the assumption that picking read means that I'm basically spoiling the reveal forever, I would rather get spoiled knowing that the sidekick, friend, or ally is actually the villain, because that's more vague. Because this one says ally, it could just be, you know, somebody who's also a good guy. I'm picturing like a battle and it's just a random general in your own army, like something like that. Because that one, as much as I love the reveal and the shock in the moment, the aftermath is another huge part of it. I would rather have that one spoiled, because then there's still so many other elements to enjoy. A character that isn't real or that's dead the whole time is more fun to write, I think, than having an ally who's the villain. Because I feel like the clues are so much more fun to sprinkle in. That's another thing, the clues. That is one of my favorite parts about that trope. When I come across it in a book, a lot of times I'll read the book twice. Sometimes as soon as I finish reading it, I'll flip back and start reading again right away. Seeing what little clues I can pick up, what little things I missed, what other like hints there were that are maybe really obvious in retrospect. But it's also fun to leave those little clues and little hints. So I think I'm gonna have to pick read that a sidekick, friend, or ally is actually the villain. Write a character who isn't real or was dead the whole time. And unfortunately, burn closed circle mysteries. Why did I have to end on such a challenging one? That one was very difficult, but also very fun. There were serious consequences. So let me know what you think. I had a lot of fun with this. It was a little bit more challenging than I expected. There were some rounds that had too many good ones and I really struggled to pick which one to burn. And then there were some rounds where I hated too many of them. I think it was just as fun to think of like what I would want to read and write versus what I would never be able to read or write again. I think that depending on the prompts, some of them were challenging for different reasons, and it was just a fun game to play. Let me know if there was any that you like agreed on or really disagreed on, because again, it's all so subjective that maybe my favorite tropes you hate or the other way around. And like I said, if you make videos and you want to play this game too, please do, and let me know, tag me in it so I can watch, because I think it would be so much fun. But that is going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please hit the like button to let me know, and subscribe to stay up to date with the rest of my videos. I post new videos once a week, either reading or writing related. So I hope to see you guys next time, and until then, have a great day. Bye!